The show is called Looking for Color, and the idea I had for it really was like this continuation of color relationships, how colors change and how we perceive them based on what they're adjacent to. In color theory, we have something called local color. Local color is a color with no influence of light or shadow or what it's next to. So for example, in plein air painting or in nature, local color is almost non-existent because we are always contending with conditions. And my work is really just like a zeroing in on the formalities and also the nuances of what that means when we look at painting. In this show, what I wanted to do is address this idea of color as a language and making works that appear to have no color, but are really reflecting as much condition as works that have a lot of color. They're doing the exact same thing. It's just one, we assign it this very quiet, like restful break from looking at color. And then we come over here and have this like immersion of visual excitement, eye massage, eye control, and being led around an installation in order to sort of consider the relationships. I'm like infinitely excited by that. And you know, I like to say never underestimate the power of an obsession, because I just am like in a state of euphoria going into this over and over again and trying to get it more exciting with colors that are not equal in intensity. They're not equal in value. That is, some are very light and some are very dark. We know that we can make vibrations in colors that are put next to one another by choosing equally intense colors that are complementary on the color wheel. We know how to do that, and we've seen it in op art, we've seen it in lots of color field work. In my work, I want to push that to its edges and see if I can still create a vibration, some kind of visual excitement by creating a tension or a counterpoint by putting colors next to each other that are not equal in intensity. They are like not opposites on the color wheel. They're not complementaries. Can they still do something that's really exciting? Okay, so when invited to do this show, it was very exciting because I love the idea of making a site-specific installation that can create a vibe, can create an experience, and it does kind of, it's an opportunity to advance what I want the work to achieve in terms of an experience. And of course, installation is such a great way to do that. So I just had this vision while I was preparing the show that a person's experience of the show would be to enter your gallery through this little hallway and experience a temporary short period of deprivation of color. And working as a color field artist, I find in my process that I work between restful periods and visually exciting periods. The eye needs to rest. Gray rests the eye. And white on white paintings obviously are incredibly exciting to make and to contend with because of their historical significance, the significance of historical women painters who have worked white on white, the meaning of white, the attachments we have to the color white, domestic attachments and femininity, purity, babies, all that stuff. So making something that's extremely restful and gives the feeling of it being colorless when we know that it is not colorless and it's totally mutable and changing from warm to cool depending on its conditions. I thought that would be a nice starting point and would instantly become a counterpoint to entering what you have so aptly named the gravitational pull of the show, because really the vision for the show was to explore this idea of a contrapuntal diptych. So a contrapuntal diptych is a diptych, two paintings that are providing a counterpoint to one another. Counterpoints are two interdependent lines that are weaving in and out of each other. They do it in literature, poetry, music, and in painting and many other art forms. And unlike harmony, where they're sort of riding the same line and creating one melody, they create a tension and an interest and a rhythm. There's a rhythm to looking. There's a deep relaxation. They toy at resolution, and yet there is never quite a perfect, fixed, static resolution. And I really love that idea. Obviously, the work has this formalism to it, and it's can go in a very cerebral direction, okay? And this is like fun for me as part of my process. But really, what we are dealing with here is the pleasure of looking and the pleasure of organization. The eye likes to organize, and the eye likes to travel. So again, like because there was an opportunity to make something for this site, and this site has the potential to be a meditative space, a respite, a joyful place, or a place of refuge. I saw that this as an opportunity to kind of try and make something that could provide that. There is no fancy technology to how I make my work, and yet it can still hold and guide an experience, an aesthetic experience. So it is the intention of the show to invite consideration with tools that we all have, and maybe like be able to see them in a new light or enjoy them in maybe a slightly new way.
I like that. That's beautiful.